positive that you will pay.
No.
Okay, that's it. When the insurance companies say they won't pay, I will make them pay you. Get the money you deserve at getdavidgetpaid.com.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential and explains every step of the invention process. We create professional materials representing your idea and submit it to companies who are looking for new ideas. We have more than 9,000 companies who've agreed to review ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We have helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We also offer services including 3D modeling and animation, demonstrating your idea, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to show InventHelp client ideas to additional companies. Join the thousands of people just like you who chose InventHelp to pursue their idea. We are experienced. We are working for you. We are InventHelp.
Call us for free information at 1-800-460-1663. That's 1-800-460-1663. Again, 1-800-460-1663.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I've had no energy for months and months and months. I had no energy, and I'm a very active person. And my husband was noticing that I was tired all the time, and I was slow at everything that I was doing. And I kept listening to the commercials. And, you know, you don't know if something's going to help you or not. But I decided this was something I was going to do. And lo and behold, in about 4 days to taking them, I was repotting plants. I was doing other things. My husband said to me, "You seem to have more energy." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." And I'm telling you, nothing has ever made such a difference. So anyway, I'm very happy.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code RADIO5.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. This is Kerry Ron Jackson, your urban conservative. I'm sitting in for Anthony Adams this morning, and we're talking about our first subject this morning is the Freaknik documentary. Many of you have heard that Hulu has bought the rights to a already produced documentary, and the subject of the documentary is the festival that started out just as a cookout, a small cookout among students who were hanging out for spring break in Atlanta, and they weren't going home for the break. They all decided to get together and have a cookout. Well, it grew from there, and it became a large attraction in the Atlanta area, not just for college students. It wound up becoming an attraction for everybody that thought this is the place to go and hang out and have a very good time. And it went from a wholesome college student sort of experience to a wild scene of debauchery and excitement. And that attracted a lot of people to the Atlanta area, and it until it got so wild in the late 90s that Atlanta City Council and the mayor said, "Listen, it's time to just shut it down. We appreciate everybody coming here, but it's gotten too wild. These folks don't know how to act, and we just can't handle it. We're a family-friendly city. Let's shut it down." And now that Hulu is, let me say this. There are several women who have decided to file lawsuits against Hulu, asking the court to stop the release of the documentary because they are afraid that if, in fact, the documentary is released, there's going to be all sorts of wild and exciting things that they were doing. They're not saying they didn't do it. They're not saying anybody's lying on them. They're saying the stuff that I did, I don't want anybody to know about because now I'm a lot growner and I'm trying to be respectable. And if people actually see me in this documentary and they see me shaking my butt and showing my breast out in the middle of the street, they might think differently of me. Tell me what you think. 313-778-7600. Let's talk to Dave. Good morning, Dave. How are you? Dave, take a breath. Take a breath. Dave, breathe. Slow down. Slow down. Dave, the question is not, should the people have been taking part in the activity? They did it. The question is not, well, white folks have had fun and they get wild and rowdy when you have bike week out on the West Coast in South Carolina and things. Oh my God, you should see the things that happen and the women that take part in the activities there. We're not complaining about that. We got it. Folks get together no matter what the event is, and at some of these events, people wind up taking part in, let's just say it's debauchery, because this is AM radio. But the truth is, they get naked, they have sex, and sometimes it's recorded, and sometimes they do the things that they were not taught to do in church. That's not the question. The question is, when you do it out in public, do you have a right to later on come complaining when what you did in public wound up being recorded and videotaped, and it's going to wind up probably going on and becoming a commercial success? And by the way, you ain't getting paid any of that money because what you did was not in private. You didn't want, nobody needed it. You gave up the right to complain. That's my likeness on the screen. I want some money. Yeah, well, you was showing your breast in public. It's public. They videotaped it. Nobody asked you to sign a release. You're not making any money. Is that fair?
Well, brother, I think by law, it depends on how that document. I don't say that documentary, they pretty much cover themselves. You know, because you're allowed to do certain things. It depends on the pretext, and also the under which umbrella covers that you're taking it. You know, by them saying documentary, you can almost take a video of anything, anywhere if they're out in public. You know, you can't no one can be in their backyard and anything, but if they're out in public and they're doing things, yeah. But again, for me, I don't really see what the big buzz is. I don't know if I even look at it. I don't see what the big buzz is. You know, you got Mardi Gras, you got the homosexual parade.
Did you just say you're not going to look at it? Hey, did you just say you're not going to look at it? Brother, come on. We all curious.
There's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple. Okay, what you said again? You said Tracy? No, I'm sorry, what's the name again? You said Tracy? Okay, I'm sure.
I'm going to take her next. Let's see. There you go. Y'all, Dave just hit it out the park. Nobody would have known who you were until you wound up going into court saying, oops, I don't want nobody to see this. They just told on themselves. But that's definitely mama, and all of the cousins and the neighbors and everybody now know your mama was out there shaking her tail. Let me knock out some more callers, Dave. Thanks for calling this morning, brother. We appreciate it. Let's go to Tracy. Good morning, Tracy. How are you? Tracy, first thing I need you to do is cut that radio down. All right, put her back on hold. Now, Tracy, you can hear my voice. We'll come back to you in a couple minutes. There's a delay, always a delay between what's going on here in the station and when I go to you. So you need to be ready and ready to rock and roll when we go to you. We're coming back to you in a minute. Let's go to Ms. Leona. Good morning, Ms. Leona. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you? I can get food to you today. I don't have to fight for an hour. I believe those people, they were young and they didn't understand that whatever you do will come back to haunt you.
Ms. Leona, you've raised kids. You have told people, be careful what you do. There is no defense of, I was young and stupid. People have been arguing that for hundreds of years, but the truth is our parents, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles have always told us, be careful what you do. whatever it is, it can come back and haunt you later. They knew better. Would you let your kids get away with the old mama, I'm sorry, I didn't know?
Well, they were told, but I think this old saying, whatever you do in the dark will come to the light. But this wasn't the dark. They were out in public, so I don't think they should be able to stop it. They just have to live with it, because we always told our children, be careful what you do and what you say, because somebody can use it against you. So I think they should just suck it up and go ahead. And the people look at how they've changed as they got older. Some people will hold things against you, and some people will just forgive you for what you do. And I always say, there was no one perfect but Jesus Christ, so we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Enjoy, you don't have to fight today. We'll continue to listen. God bless.
Thank you. 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. Let's talk to PG. Good morning, PG. How are you?
Well, good morning and happy TGI Tuesday, and it's so good to have you on the radio for Anthony Adams. 2 hours with KLJ today and Miss Keisha.
She'll be here in just a few minutes. Yep, go ahead.
So here's the thing. Our parents told us, do what I say and not what I do. Every black parent during the weekend, they lived for the weekend. They played cards, they had cookouts, they played New York, we played dominoes, we played backgammon, ACDC, we played all of the games. They danced a little bit, but I don't remember parents back then doing that type of behavior. Now, there is such a thing as redemption. Kids don't understand the magnitude of what they do or what we do as adults. It may come back, but God is a merciful God, and you do get a chance to redeem yourself. You do get a second chance at life, and this is what Christianity and that God forgiveness is all about. I'm not sure about what this Freaknik is. I've heard about it, never attended one. Didn't quite understand it, but if it was under the auspices of a cookout, my thought is you don't have to go to another town, spend all this money to be involved in it when you could have a cookout right in your own backyard or at the park. It fell out. So
it really, I mean, that the part about the cookout and stuff was simply the first couple of years, those people who were the original organizers that created the event. What the documentary will show you was that an event that started out with what pretty much had sort of a harmless meaning behind it wound up growing into a much larger event. It took on because a lot of the students that were there were learning about entertainment and promotions, and they had a lot of connections, and they decided we're going to bring people in, we're going to have concerts, we're going to grow. We got to go to break. Don't go anywhere, PG, and I'll let you finish when we come back on the other side of the break. 313-778-7600. It's a very quick break, y'all. We'll be right back.
This report is sponsored by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. One simple act can lead to so much good and so many lives saved. Join the more than 170 million people who've signed up as organ, eye, and tissue donors. Sign up today at organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I want to invite you to be a part of something special. Come be with me in a live service that will definitely impact your life and encourage you. That's right, I invite you to Unity Temple Church, located at 17376 Wyoming, just a block south of Mumford High School in the beautiful city of Detroit. If you're a first-time guest, I want the opportunity to meet you first at a guest reception immediately after morning worship. Over light refreshment. I look forward to seeing you. Worship opportunities each week are Sunday at 11 a.m. and conveniently at
Okay,
6:45
what time
on
you expecting
Wednesday
your call?
on Facebook Live and YouTube.
I was expecting her by now. I know she said that she had to drop somebody at the airport.
Let's go. I'm going to give clearance at the gate. Inform her to give you a text or whatever when she get here.
Okay.
That way you can text me and I can go get it because I'm going to be outside the area.
Okay.
When she get him, she has to do it. She can text you.
Cool.
3700. Come on out and be with me.
Attention. Do you owe back taxes, fines, and penalties to the IRS?
For the
The
text me,
IRS now
I
offers
might
daily
have to
options
switch
for
phones.
taxpayers affected by COVID-19. But you can't go it alone. Call Tax Solutions now. Our team of former IRS agents and tax professionals can get you the best deal. We know the COVID-19 rules. Call us and never speak to the IRS again.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
I'm going to switch devices on the
Had my wage
Facebook, y'all.
garnishment lifted
Be
in
right
48
back up.
hours. The virus has caused the IRS to take extensive action to help taxpayers. So if you owe $10,000 or more, this is the best time in years to settle your tax debt.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
Remember, the IRS will not give up until you pay. Call 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. 910 AM Superstation, giving you exactly what you need.
This is the Anthony Adams Show, of course. I'm Anthony Adams. Life, politics, culture. We talk about it here. And I think my record speaks for itself. If you got an issue with me, then you got an issue with me. I don't have time for that because I'm trying to give people information. We live in a global community, and oftentimes we become consumed by what goes on in our city, which we should be on top of. Got the call lines lit up already. Speak your piece. 3, 2, 1, go.
The 910 AM live stream can now be seen on Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast, YouTube Red, iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Amazon Kindle Fire, any Windows phone. Watch us live at 910amsuperstation.com.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. This is Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The number here in the studio is 313-778-7600. It's 313-778-7600. First, let me point out, for those of you talking about, did I switch my time slot? No. If you tune in tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock from 6 to 7, tomorrow, Wednesday, Friday, tomorrow's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you will have me live and in person. I won't be in the studio. I'll be where I regularly am. Anthony Adams had a conflict this morning, and so he asked me if I would pinch hit for him, and I am. And later on this morning, Keisha will be here to share it with me. When Keisha gets here, we're going to do the other part of the show where she wants to talk about Flint City Council member Eric Mays, who apparently is going viral and is very, very popular. Depends on who you ask. Some people say he's popular with some people, and other people really, really, really don't like him. And we'll talk about that when Keisha gets here. But right now, I wanted to have a talk about this upcoming Freaknik documentary that will be broadcast on Hulu. Several young women who apparently were being wild and loose in the street, out in the public in Atlanta back in the early 90s, they're all worried about, oh my God, we judged. They run to court. They file lawsuits to say, don't let them show that documentary because they might wind up showing us doing something that we don't want people to know we did in the 90s. How many of you were told by your parents, listen, whatever you do, wherever you go, always make sure that it's proper because you never know who's watching. And that 5 minutes of doing the wrong thing in the wrong place can wind up coming back to haunt you. Our parents always told us that. Our parents, our aunties, our uncles, the neighbors, everybody told us that when I was growing up. I have no idea if they're telling y'all that now. 313-778-7600. I want to talk to y'all. Let's go back and let PG wrap up. Okay, PG, go ahead.
How it should be done. And a lot of young people didn't listen to their parents on everything. But, back then, girls were looking for ways to get attention. And it was not the best way to get attention, but that's what they were doing.
PG? PG.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you do know that they still are looking for ways to get attention now. Women will still do stuff that, you know, their mamas and their aunties might say, I don't really think that's ladylike, but those girls are still doing it.
They still want attention because, Terry, they don't love themselves. They have not learned the concept of self-love. They have not learned self-respect, self-care, and if you want to be treated a certain way, you have to represent that in terms of your femininity, your feminine power. You have to show someone how to treat you. And if you show someone how to treat you, they have two choices. Do it, and we could potentially do and go someplace together, or not do it, and I choose not to be around you. But it's always an option, and anything is possible if you talk about it. And I just want to let you know that I grew up with Eric Mays. Our mothers went to the same church, and they were very, very good friends. I know Eric Mays. We've done a lot of advocacy together. I have helped him get the message out in Flint on different things. I wrote press releases to get coverage on a lot of the different issues that he was
So
fighting
give
for.
me a clue about something. Yeah, this is my only real question. He seems to, I mean, not just that he's got a following of people who seem to love him or any of the other stuff, but he clearly is a man of conviction. He's decided, I'm going to do it my way, and I'm not going to follow all of the conventions from people that want me to do it their way. Got you on that part.
That's
But
what Eric, that's the way he is.
okay, and I can appreciate that, but at the same time, I mean, PG, I have served on probably 25 different boards and commissions. When you're on a deliberative body, you've got to follow a set of rules. You've got to do things a particular way so that everybody can be heard and you can move the meeting along in an orderly manner. You can't just decide, I'm going to take over every meeting and I'm going to say what I want to say, period. Even if you don't like the people you on the board with, even if they are the stupidest bunch of folks on the planet, you've got to try to follow this and you've got to try and do things in an orderly manner. Do you know what's it going to take to rein the brother in?
Let me just say this about Eric. Eric is a political genius.
Clearly, y'all understand this. Listen, that brother has gone viral. He's got a following now. It is unbelievable.
He has a master's degree in political science, and Eric has been called, just like I've been called in Southfield, a provocateur for many years. And myself, along with others, encouraged him to run. The first time he ran for office, they didn't vote for him because they didn't like the fact that he was spilling a lot of information that was considered inside information, and they knew if he got on city council that he would be transparent and expose it. Eric is not perfect, but one thing about Eric, if he does it, if he says it, he takes courage for his convictions and he stands behind it. That's one thing that I know about Eric. But I want to know what this is that my Queen Keisha sister is talking about.
What she wanted to, let me just tell you, when she sent me, there's a collection on YouTube. It says the best of Eric Mays. I had not, I mean, you know, I pay attention to what's going on down here. I had not been paying attention, and she sent me the thing and she said, have you seen the following that this brother's got that he's gone viral? She said, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. And so I watched the videos that she sent me, and then I went back there and I Googled his name. I looked at a lot of stuff. You know, apparently they charged him with disorderly conduct. They took this picture of him in handcuffs as, you know, this is what happens to Black leaders. They try to suppress you and they want to suppress your vote, your voice and things like that. And clearly there's a movement to try to suppress him and to try and control him. And he just don't seem to be that kind of person. He does not seem to be that kind of person that's going to let anybody control him.
Able to suppress him or control him, and Eric could care less. Every time they show him like that, his support base,
He gets more powerful. Yep.
higher and higher. He gets elected on a shoestring, but I doubt if Eric ever has a fundraiser when he's attempting to be reelected. He gets the votes. He don't put out no signs. He don't do any of that lately that I can recall, but he still gets elected. But one thing I can tell you about Eric, If you want someone down in the lion's den, in the trenches, someone that's not afraid to give a voice, that's the man right there. We've done a lot of things together, and we've gotten a lot of media coverage. And I'll tell you this, he absolutely loved my husband. When I first introduced him to my husband, the first thing he said was, man, how did you get PG? Because a lot of guys been liking her for years. He said, I went to a council meeting. And he laughed because ever since he's known me, from the time I was a teenager, I always went to council meetings and was involved in the process. And he said, well, you know that PG is loquacious. That's why they call her talkologist. She can't stop talking. How do you deal with that? He said, my wife is like an Energizer battery for the bunny. She keeps going and going and going, but even the talkologist runs out of battery.
All right, well, I got, you ain't gonna believe how many people I got lined up. I got to start knocking out some of these calls.
Let me tell you, we went to the former mayor's funeral, and the day we went to Donald Williamson's funeral, we went to a city council meeting, and my husband was having a little issue, and he was walking with a cane. When we got ready to leave, during the council meeting, Eric Mays walked off the dais and helped my husband put his coat on, and that's the level of respect that he gives you. But he's going to be Eric Mays. He made what we call it EM, no matter what, and he don't care what you think.
There you go. Thank you for calling, and thanks for telling us who the brother he is. Have a good morning. 313-778-7600. Let's go to Jerry. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Jackson. Allow me to say, you could run, but you cannot hide. We miss you at 6 o'clock show, but we get you now. Right, Dr. Jackson?
Let me tell you something. These Tuesdays that they play the pre-recorded show, I actually get to sleep a little bit later. And so I I'm not going to say that it makes me more productive through the day. It's just that, I'm trying to get my body into a normal sort of life rhythm. But listen, I enjoy my 6 to 7 slot. I don't ever want to wind up giving it up because I like getting up and talking to the people before everybody else talks to them.
And you deserve a break, Dr. Jackson. And I know you did mention yesterday before the end of your show that you're going to be with Isha at 9 a.m. cover for your friend
Anthony Adams, brother.
Yes,
yep.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate what you're doing, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson, I'm not trying to change the subject of your topics, but there is some notice that I find out myself from my experience as a father, as a husband. When you come to advise the kids, don't do that, son, don't do that, daughter. Don't you think sometimes, Dr. Jackson, they look at you like you are an old-fashioned, you don't know nothing about it. Nowadays, you are not upgrading yourself.
Yeah, but do me a favor, Jerry. Take a breath. Hold on a minute, because we got to go to break. And Keisha's in. I got to run up front and get her. Hold that thought. We're going to address it when we come back on the other side of the break. 313-778-7600. It's a very quick break. We'll be right back.
If you've been injured in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, the insurance companies never want to pay. Hello?
Listen, dude, I'm telling you, we won't pay.
No, I'm looking at the case right now, and you will pay.
No, we won't.
I'm absolutely positive
We won't.
that you will pay.
No.
Okay, that's it. When the insurance companies say they won't pay, I will make them pay you. Get the money you deserve at getdavidgetpaid.com.
9 a.m. Superstation has the greatest advertising deal ever with our Godfather package. 100 spots for $600 with a must-air within 30-day policy and we will even produce the spots free. That's right, free. Call Devin C now at 248-357-4566. That's 248-357-4566. Or email d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads.
Did you know most vitamin supplements don't even come from food? Even the products with colorful fruits and vegetables adorning the labels are seldom derived from produce. Typically, supplements are synthetic, made in a laboratory. Modern science may synthetically imitate these chemicals, but your body isn't fooled. It knows the difference and craves quality materials to build, repair, and fight illness. You need to consume fruits and vegetables daily in a variety of colors, as well as whole grains and other fresh food. That's why I formulated Balance of Nature. I wanted to be able to give my patients a natural alternative to the cheap, unnatural chemistry by giving them real fruits and vegetables. In fact, the only ingredients inside a Balance of Nature are whole fruits and vegetables. Don't settle for imitation nutrition. Reach for the good stuff, the real stuff.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code RADIO5.
WADL gets a facelift and is now by 38. Along with the facelift comes new programming. On Mondays at 8 p.m. a $2 block of Law and Order SVU. Tuesday, Chicago Fire. Wednesdays, Dateline. More Dateline and Chicago PD on Thursdays and on Fridays. You'll get more Chicago PD to start your weekend. We'll still have some of your favorite shows like Mom, Blackett, and Friends. Just adding more for you to enjoy on My 38. The Word Network has been broadcasting inspirational messages around the world since the year 2000, and we keep getting bigger and better and more innovative, seen all around the world. We bring you the best teaching, impartation, singing, and inspiration. If you want original programming, we have that too. The Word Network is your exclusive source for all things inspiration.
That Eric is not Eric Mays, is it?
Imaginable. If you want to be uplifted and inspired.
Did he sound like a gravelly voice, though, man?
9-10 a.m.
Kinda, yeah.
Giving you exactly what you
Let's finish up with Jerry. We're going to go to him next, and we'll find
I'm
out.
Anthony Adams. Life, politics, culture. We talk about it here. And I think my record speaks for itself. If you got an issue with me, then you got an issue with me. I don't have time for that because I'm trying to give people information. We live in a global community, and oftentimes we become consumed by what goes on in our city, which we should be on top of. Got the call lines lit.
I'm going to share that one later.
You said what?
I'm going to share that one later. Yeah. Good to see you. I'm cool. They know what I look like. Welcome back, Metro Detroit. This is Kerry Leon Jackson together with Keisha now. You're listening to 9-10 a.m. Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The number here in the studio is 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. I just like the fact that the lines wind up getting lit up when Keisha get here. Where was y'all at when I was here by myself? Tell me that. Let's let Jerry finish up and we'll start knocking out some of those other callers. Let's go. Okay, Jerry, go ahead.
Jackson, good morning to Keisha. She just joined.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Ms. Keisha. Thank you for being here. My thing is, Dr. Jackson, we as the parents, when we try to advise our kids, it's just that things, they look at us like we're an old-fashioned people. We did not upgrade ourselves. So they ignore us. They hear from one ear and get it out from the other ear. An example I put, if my son decides to get married, I try to advise him, son, don't spend too much money on flowers or roses because you spend thousands of dollars and the next day they end up in a trash, in a garbage. Or you bring me a live music band, you spend about $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 when you could bring a DJ. It doesn't cost you probably $1,000 instead of paying $7,000, $8,000. So I say,
Let me ask you a question, Jerry. Did you listen to your parents when you were younger?
Yes, sir.
See, the thing is, I got to tell you, y'all listen, everything that Jerry is saying, I agree with, because my kids look at me like I have no idea what I'm talking about. They have no idea. They look at me whenever I try to give them advice about anything. They don't listen to me. And so I have to tell other folks, like I tell my parent, I tell my mother, I have to tell my son's coaches, listen, he's not going to listen to me. He does not care that I used to run track. He thinks I know nothing at all about anything. They don't listen to me about how to fix a car. He's not going to listen to me about how I drive. But to me, the truth is, it appears to be a generational thing. It's not just my household. And I know that, the prior show, they were talking about, some of the trouble and what we talked about yesterday, that, parents need to learn how to parent their kids a little bit better, and that kids sometimes don't wind up listening to the parents. I understand all of that. But truthfully, for generations, not just our generation, for generations, kids have been that way where they feel like we know it, and they don't learn to appreciate their parents until, the parents are old. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't learn to appreciate them until they're gone. It's not new, Jerry. We've had this happen for a while. We just got to keep pushing away at them. You chip at them a little here, a little there. Eventually, they gets to them.
I think.
Excuse me if I interrupt you. Do you think in this case, if they just never listen to us, do you think they will listen to the man, a religious man, a reverend or pastor or a priest? They talk to them. This is the right way to do. This is the wrong way to do. What do you think the leader of the church and the community? Do you think they could?
I think it depends on the age of the child. Actually, the teenagers, most teenagers or young adults are influenced by social media, not really a pastor or the church, because most of them don't even. And this generation is not. They're not. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it. They're not really practicing any religion. They believe in spirits more than religion. But I think for my generation, for me, and I'm over 40, I still listen to my mom, because the times I didn't, she was right. So now I kind of have this mindset that when my mom tells me something, I go with it because she's always normally right. So it kind of saves me a lot of heartache and a lot of wasted time, because when she tells me, I know to follow her direction, because she's either experienced it, but she leads by example. So I trust what she says, because she's role model herself, where I've never seen my mom. My mom didn't hang out. She didn't drink. She took care of business. So I believe what she says, because she's shown me.
I think that's the secret, Jerry. We got to keep trying.
Your answer is beautiful. I appreciate you and Mr. Jackson. But I do believe a lot of time our kids, they get somehow affected by the people who they hang around them.
Yeah.
Maybe they will listen to their friends more than they listen to their mom and dad. What do you think?
It to me, it depends on how you parent your child. So like my daughter is 11, right? So she's at that impressionable age where she's finding herself, but at the same time, she can be influenced easily. But I constantly tell my daughter she's a leader. And I tell her, don't follow anybody else. And when she does things and I feel like she's a follower, that's when I have the bigger problem, because you let somebody else influence you. At least if you're going to get in trouble, you lead the pack. Don't let nobody else lead the pack and you following it. So.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ristisha. Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for taking my call.
Thank you, Jerry.
Bless you.
We
have a great one,
you.
Jerry.
Have a good day. Let's go to Eric. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Eric.
Hey, good morning, well, okay. I wanted to talk about I called the part about the Freaknik and the documentary or whatever. But before Freaknik, I was at college at Howard University, and we were on a spring break. And, everybody, just had a good break. And we went down to Virginia Beach. Okay, I didn't make it, but there was an incident that happened at Virginia Beach that was so horrific, where I saw my friends on TV with shorts on and tank top and flip flops getting beat by police with riot gear on and all this stuff, but they never had experienced that. You had read about this kind of stuff, whatever. But it kind of changed the psyche of the student to where it became attractive not to go down there to Virginia Beach where that happened. And it was real heavy. It brought everybody together, and then everybody started going other places. And that's when the Atlanta thing started. Before it got exploited and turned into the wildness, it was a way not to get treated how the Commonwealth state had treated young black people out just on the beach. Then I can go to what the gentleman said about kids not listening to you or think that you don't know anything. Through teaching and all that, you have to use non-traditional approaches to get the results you want. It is no different than dealing with the youth. One ammunition you can use is that they used to be. So
do me a favor, Eric. Do me a favor. Put a pin in it because we at the end of this first hour segment. Do me a favor. I got to put you back on hold. I'm gonna come back to you and those other folks that have been hanging for a while. I'm gonna get to all of the callers as soon as we come back on the other side of the break. We'll be right back.
So you answer the calls in order of how they're on the board. Okay.
Which is what gets me, which is amazing to me. Folks do that all the time. They feel like, why you didn't take me next? I heard when I asked him and he said I was the next caller. I take them based on how I want to mix it. Because like when Nate calls, if I got 1 minute left, they think it's only a 1 minute call. I'm never going to take PG or somebody that I know going to go for 15 minutes. I tell them all the time, they know that. I know this. I don't take folks that I know are going to talk long if I ain't got long, because then this will wind up happening. It's going to wind up broken up. And then you're going to wind up rushing them when you come back on the other side, because there's going to be other folks. Some folks are going to hang up. Now, I would like to take like Tracy. Tracy, you see how long she's been holding? I went to her once, but she had the radio on. You know, there's a delay. So I think it's a 5-second delay. So I went to her, but you hear the radio and that's it. And she wasn't ready. You got to, if you're going to call, you got to be ready that we're going to take you in any second. So I appreciate the fact that he's going to tell them there's 2 callers ahead of you. I might take that call next. Or, you know, if we get to the end, or if there's not enough callers, when you hear me go to Tim, it's because ain't nobody on the phone. And I know Tim is going to say something that's going to piss them all off and going to light up that board. So I'll go to Tim so he can say something that's borderline racist. And everybody's going to call because he's going to be like, the black people, you know what your black people need? And I'm going to go to him just so that they can hear it. They're going to light the phones up, which you never want to wind up doing. PG and Grace.
This is the biggest small shirt I've ever worn.
That's not a small. He couldn't find a small. It's a medium.
I'm like, this doesn't feel like a small.
It's a medium. They didn't have a small. The 2 of them will call no matter how many times I ask you, not the PG and Grace will call because they and they're gonna go against each other on the air. They try their best. And at times I'm telling them, yo, I only get 56 minutes in the morning. I ain't got time for y'all to argue about each other or to call to rebut what that one said and then hang up and call back. The other thing that I don't do, I don't take people twice in the same show. You know, so if you've been on already, you shared your piece, I've got to knock out some of them other callers. So, you know, actually when we come back, so is Tracy ready? Ask her if she's ready. I'm going to leave Eric on hold and we're going to go to Tracy because Eric seems to be a little long-winded. So we're going to hold him for when we need him. Tony is going to be a 3-minute phone call.
Wait for that.
That's how she is. She talks quick. Oh, yeah. Hold on. I got to go use this.
My eyes is red. I'm tired.
Hello.
Bless you.
Hello.
You still a no? She ain't ready. Okay.
You left the radio on, but I don't hear her at all. Yeah, so I don't even be telling them. Like sometimes I just be like, you know, it's a couple or there's a few
Do they have a
callers.
pop machine here?
I don't know. Is there a pop machine here?
No, like you got water.
The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry, Leon Jackson, and Keisha. You are looking at the second hour now of the Anthony Adams Show. I know many of you, those of you that generally tune in from 9 to 11, expecting Anthony Adams to be here. Brother Adams had a conflict this morning, and he called me and asked me if I pitch hit for him. And I called Keisha and said, do me a favor, come join me, come sit with me from 9 to 11. So we've got Keisha in the studio. The two things that Keisha wanted to talk about today, I wanted to talk about the Freaknik documentary that is going to come up on Hulu, and this pushback or the fact that there are young women who have decided that they're not young anymore. They're apparently like right behind me, but they apparently were acting sort of wild and loose back in the streets back in the early 90s at the point in time when somebody videotaped them doing some things that they are a little ashamed of now. And they don't want Hulu to show the documentary. So they've decided they're going to take the legal route to try and block it, to say I didn't give permission and my likeness and things like that. And they're going to court and they're waiting for a judge to slap them on the hand to say, yeah, well, if you did it in public, you gave up the right to come and get complaining about it now, 25, 30 years later. And the second subject is the Flint City Councilman who has gone viral, who has a following well beyond the city of Flint, who is, many of you, if you've been following the news about Eric Mays, he got charged with disorderly conduct for not behaving within the Robert's Rules of Order and for continuing to get on the nerve of the other fellow council members and the mayor in Flint. And so they warned him over and over and over again. They decided to charge him with a crime. He set up a GoFundMe, raised apparently $13,000 in one day for his legal defense, went to trial, got convicted of disorderly conduct. And it's clearly not going to change. He's still going to be the person that he was all of the time. Hold on a second. He knows I ain't taking it. He can still hold the one that they just put in online number one. I'm not taking it. He can be on hold. I don't care. He knows that. I've been here 7 years. He calls all the time. I'm not taking that call. You can leave my hold. But we're gonna knock out some of these other callers. Eric, I'm asking you to hold on because some of these folks have been holding it for a long time. Let's go to James. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good morning, Terry. Enjoying the show. As usual. I would just like to say that speaking on the topic of obedience and disobedience, there's a certain guidance for God-fearing people. And the first is you must believe first in God to have a certain disposition. Because after you say that you believe in God, then you'll be tested. You'll be tested. So the things that you do then really starts to matter. So, but up until that point, you just like blind sheep. But once you say that you believe in God, then you are held to that standard. You'll be tested from that point on. So that's all I'd like to say right now on that subject.
All right, James. Thanks for calling this morning. Have a great day. Let's go to Tony. Good morning, young lady. How are you?
Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Carrie. Good morning, Keisha. I'm well. How are you all?
Great.
Pretty good. What's on your mind?
Okay, so yeah, I've heard the stories about Freaknik, and yeah, I can just imagine they would have to put some of that stuff rated R or X. I don't know if they can show it. When I went on my senior trip to Disney World in Daytona Beach, I wanted my boyfriend to go with me, but he couldn't go. He had to work. Guess who went with me?
Who went with you?
My mother. I asked her to be a chaperone because I thought she deserved a vacation too. So it was great. But let me tell you, there was some shenanigans going on the bus, including people having sex. There were 3 members of faculty that were found guilty of having sexual relationships with senior girls. So it was a big hot mess at that school.
What school was that?
Cooley High.
See, yeah, you're right. I'm a Cooley Cardinal. So Wow.
Tony.
Wait, what year did you come out?
Tony.
I'm gonna make sure one nobody in my family. My whole family went to.
19
You said when?
19
Look, my whole family went to Cooley. Graduated from like the 70s.
Listen,
2000.
Tony. I'm still in shock when Tony talking about what the teachers were doing. I mean,
I'm not in shock. I'm not. Most of the
Why?
time, because I know when I was in Cooley.
Keisha trying to be careful, y'all.
No. Even now, a lot of these teachers are not too far removed when they come out of college. They're like 23, 24, 25. They're not too much older than 18-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know when I was in high school, it was some teachers, more females, surprisingly, than men. It was more female teachers doing stuff with the young men in our school. So I'm not surprised because they're not that far removed. And then they look at some of these 18-year-olds, you're 18, regardless of them still being in high school. It's like you're 18.
You old enough to have sex, you old enough to consent. They think it's fair game. Yeah, that's a felony. That is a felony. If you are a teacher, I don't care if you're 22 and the person is 18, 19 years old. If you're their teacher, you're in a position of authority. It's a felony. You're going to prison.
Yeah.
You're going to prison. You're going to have to be fighting off people named Bubba simply because you couldn't keep it in. You got to learn to control yourself. So
it was three teachers that were involved in the whole situation, the sex scandal thing with the students. 2 were young and decent looking. No, 3 were young and decent looking. It was 4. And 1 was old, fat, and disgusting, looked like a walrus. And I was like, I don't know, he must have been paying a whole lot of money because grades couldn't have got him nothing. It's ridiculous. Okay, y'all.
Have a good one,
morning,
Tony. All right.
313-778-7600. Let's talk to Bayri. Good morning, Bayri. How are you?
Good morning, Bayri.
I got to do one thing. Tommy, thank you for giving it. The Jesus, what you're telling me is right on track. Folks, give us something to laugh about. Give us something to recognize. Because this is going on. But the Lord,
19 a.m.
Jesus, God, you got to think about it, but you got to be respectful. When you think about respect, you got to speak about respect. You're trying to gain respect. And when they were doing these things, and bringing it back, they didn't want to say
about
respect. They didn't feel
a few, like maybe 4 or 5.
That's true.
They didn't tie. But anyway, let's do it. I feel I'm a bad at that. I got to give him a shout out. And he's doing what he's doing. And if we don't understand this here, we ain't got no counsel over here. We need somebody like him. We need 9 people like him.
Like Eric Mays.
Yes, Mr. Mays.
I listen, I absolutely love him. I'm a fan. I love him.
I know you got to love him. When you can bring him on the show, to let everybody know what everybody else is doing is righteous for that man. That man is doing nothing wrong. If everybody was like that on our council, I guarantee you, he's in the right place in the right place.
Listen, come on now. You know good and well we've had
Not like Eric Mays.
We've had, okay, Keisha's a little young, so maybe she don't remember some of the folks who were on the council in the 80s and the 90s. But in the time of whether it was Clyde Cleveland, Kwame Kenyatta, whether it was Joanne, we've had loud, boisterous, outspoken members of the community who were not afraid to say what they wanted, who were not afraid to disagree with the mayor. We've had that. But still, the thing is, and you know, but here's the thing, Bayri, remember how those people were treated back then. What everybody said about them, about now we're going down here and the council is acting like clowns. There's a reason why in the early 90s, the actual, if you remember, in the late 80s and the early 90s, that we went from a point where the council lost a lot of power and they rewrote the charter and shifted it to the mayor because they were tired of how much the council was fighting with. They were standing up for, come on now, if you remember who Irma Henderson was and how she would fight, there was people who actually fought against the mayor and people were upset with that then.
But this
so
is a
don't
different
say
time.
in 2023 that we need 9 Eric Mays on the council.
But this is different
because you wouldn't get anything accomplished.
But it's different in this time because of social media Now today he's on the Ricky Smiley show, right?
That's why he's in California. He
Yeah,
posted things
but
that
guess
said
what?
he's out there. He said, and he told y'all better get him before the price go up because he's got a large following that he's finna take advantage of.
Yeah, and Nicki Minaj just shared him, one of the biggest social media influence, biggest pop stars now. She's sharing Eric Mays. It's a different time. The people back in the 80s, 90s, they were probably pocketed to this area and not across the country. He's like big viral where he's getting that attention, and maybe this attention will help the Flint water system because now you just never know.
Maybe this attention will get him to the point where at some point he needs to start to follow the rules so that they can actually accomplish something in the meetings.
But you never know who might say, you know what, Ricky Smiley might say, you know what, let me donate some water to Flint. You never know what these connections with these celebrities are doing and may benefit because he's touching the audience and nobody in Flint would have never touched. He wouldn't.
Do you honestly think that there's anybody? Hold on a minute. Do you honestly think there's anybody who's in Arizona, Kansas, Kentucky, anywhere that's gonna say, you know what? I like that Eric Mays. I'm gonna move to Flint. Do you honestly think that it would help the population up here?
It ain't about. It's about money, not population. If I can get,
Keisha, they need tax base. Have you driven through Flint lately?
They
need. Y'all! Did y'all see that look?
No,
I need to go. You gotta go. You need to drive through. They need a tax base.
Yeah, but in this era of power and influence in social media, the right donation, and he's touching the people with the right money and the right following is money. You see what he just said? The price of me is going up.
Y'all, I don't believe.
You
laws and all that. I don't understand this here. But we got to recognize this here too. When you giving the projection of the law, and you know the law gonna help you if you give the laws back to them the way they give it to you. Because maritime laws and things, I know this here, and people will move to Flint. You're right. You said some good things there. But the only thing is, everything that is turning around.
Barry, you honestly think that this would wind up? We got to go to break, brother. I'm sorry.
No,
wait, I got a couple minutes. Go ahead.
I think, though, he's exposing some of those people. He pushed them to the point where that fake facade that they try to put up. Have you seen the video?
I saw the video.
No, where the other councilwoman gave him the finger.
Yeah,
he pushed some of them. He's showing he's putting them where you can play that role for so long where now you're real. He's making
what I'm afraid of is it's going to wind up encouraging people who are on city councils, other places like East Point and places like that, where they're going to say, if he clowned, he became a national celebrity. I'm going to clown and become a national celebrity.
You're saying he's clowning, but to me, I love it. You consider him a clown. That's your opinion. Most people feel like these people feel like he's doing something. He's being real. You're calling him a clown. I'm calling him being real. He's saying what I want him to say. I want him to talk up and speak up for me. I don't want him to be ran over. I want him to be respected, and he demands respect. You're calling him a clown. That's your opinion. But for us, it's like you giving them what they've been giving us.
I don't think he's gonna change his mind. I think that he's gonna continue to be the voice that he's been.
And I like the voice.
And the question is a criminal conviction for disorderly conduct gonna change anything?
Clearly not. It's escalating him at this point. It's elevating him. So he's being him again.
He's good. I honestly think that this is gonna be his 15 minutes of fame. But we got to go to break. Thanks for calling this morning, Barry.
Barry, have a great one.
313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. We're going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back.